YouTube comments from a video titled, "What if nuclear war broke out in 2025? The first hour of the end." Part 2.
At Elohisa 777 wrote,
Men and their dick wars. It's still about the biggest dick. It's so disgusting what humans are doing on this earth. We are a truly broken species, and only Jesus Christ can save us from this mess. Thank God we are at the end times. Maranatha, Lord.
that the Typediac wrote,
I'm curious how those interstellar civilizations will report it on their news networks. Breaking news. A short list of humans have finally decided to eradicate the entire planet they refer to as Earth, of most of its life in a moment of impulsivity, stupidity, and greed. More news at 10:00.
at Abdelatif Z5M wrote,
Si qual adroit international si chacun Samir G. Comprends la Corée du Nord tu, pu compter queser t. Coils pour t défender sinon tu t fate. Buffer ct começa a elage, de pire c tjrs, começa sa sira tjrs começa.
at Zorkwork 3841 wrote,
If the bombs come, I'm going to sit outside with a glass of wine and a joint with loved ones and friends and say bye-bye. Even if you survived. In a post-nuclear world, most likely you would end up dying from nuclear poisons/burns. These bombs are much stronger than what was used in Hiroshima. I'm just being a harsh realist here.
at Sharon Boughton 5580 wrote,
Humans are to imperfect you see what the dummy Trump did, and they are letting him yet again get away with breaking the law. I have never seen any president get away with this much.
at Matthew D 1632 wrote,
I've just come to terms with it's the end of the world soon. It is totally out of our control. And if it happens, just know you'll be at eternal peace once and for all. Why worry?
a Secret Fanda wrote,
We want peace, we are people, and we want live people merge and stop armies and politics. Alatra inside you, only Satan in your head, separate people. You don't listen ideas in your head. Give love to other people and to your soul in solar plexus.
at James Ong 4126 wrote,
War is created by Satan instigating humans' hatred to kill each other so that everyone who doesn't believe in Jesus Christ will go to hell with him. There are forces in the spiritual realm working in the background.
at Shadow Dance 1979 wrote,
See, when the world needs a reset, this is what they will do. WW2 didn't reset enough, apparently. It's all planned. Look at the cost of living and the economy. How do we sustain this? We can't. So, they will just blow us to smithereens and put us back 100 years to start all over again. The rich will live. Everyone else dies.
the Samua Q5Y wrote,
God is love. War is hell. In the last day, good actions will be called evil, and evil actions will be called good actions. The results of WD. The rapture, God's final judgment day. Amen.
at Iruanon_Meldarian 4677 wrote,
The odds of a nuclear exchange with all the powers mentioned are unlikely. Pakistan and India wouldn't randomly go to war with each other because Russia and the US are at war. China and Russia are working together, maybe, but the US using nuclear weapons on Russia because China invades Taiwan doesn't make any sense. Maybe when faced with an attack on Taiwan and the Baltic, but that doesn't explain Pakistan, India, and Israel going right well if everyone else is doing it, I guess.
at Jim Rich 4192 wrote,
No winner. Bankers will win.
They will have safe shelters on Earth or even cosmic shelters and escapes to other planets. He with the gold rules. The bankers always win.
At Richard Bendeck wrote,
Has man not learned his lesson of war with nuclear weapons, it's truly the end of civilization man is to blame. For his own arrogance, God cannot be blamed for destruction of any sites its man is to blame for weapons of mass destruction. God's promise of the rainbow is no more destruction of cities by his hand.
A Screaming Jimmy wrote,
I heard somewhere recently that we are experiencing more armed conflicts between nations since the end of WW2. This, by definition, must be what WWW3 looks like, at least at the beginning.
At Malcolm Watts 2487 wrote,
Maybe it's time to stop creating newborns as children got no chance of a good life these days. Far better to have been around 100 years ago.
At Andegren 680 wrote,
If nuclear war does occur, first thing to do is change voicemail notice with appropriate message for the times ahead. Then drive to the dry cleaners, pay the bill, and get your clothes out. Be properly dressed for this inhuman occasion.
At Amanda Chili 9218 wrote,
Watching this makes me realize how mankind really is self-destructive. How does this nuclear help in any way? Because all the countries that have nuclear weapons will target each other and wipe out mankind. Make it make sense. What's the end goal?
At Joss 7941 wrote,
And let's not forget some states have nuclear-powered energy. You know, these megastacks that you see put the smoke up in the air. What do you think happens when they go nuclear? Because there's no one there to shut them down. 'Cause everyone's dead, think Chernobyl, but no one's there to stop it from happening.
At Joss 7941 wrote,
I hate to tell you this, but there will be no surviving it. You have to understand these are not the bombs that we dropped down Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Those were smaller bombs compared to what we have today. What we have today is literally city killer state. Killers, do you understand? You will not survive if you're anywhere near the blast zone. Even if you're far enough away from the blast zone, it still will be hell on earth anywhere you go. She ran into the risk of running into radiation. There will be fallout, unlike anything you can imagine. Not even Fallout the game or the TV show. Get it right. There will be storms. Unlike anything you can imagine. The temperature of the Earth will plummet to absolute -0. Almost everywhere the snow that does fall will be literally radioactive. The water that falls will literally be radioactive. The bombs that we have today are planet killers. Basically. And that's just America. That's not all the other countries. Let's put it this way, if Russia were to actually shoot their Tsar and it actually worked okay, and let's say for imagination, that it hit New York City, the entire state of New York, New Jersey, half of Pennsylvania will be completely gone, completely gone. The movies do not get it right. I hate to be the bear bad news. I hate to be the one to scare everyone. But what we have today is nothing compared to what we had during World War II.
At Berncuge 1760 wrote,
Salt ist wirklich passieren, ist jeder Kommentar überflüssig. Nach der ersten Rakete folgt ein Kettenreaktion. Der Mensch hat nicht dazu gelernt. Ich hoffe nur, dass es mich als einen der ersten trifft, denn es wird wohl nichts mehr geben, was noch lebenswert ist.
At Marcunavale 8510 wrote,
In a nuclear war, there would only be one winner, and that is the planet Earth itself. All life on the planet would most likely end up dying off, but in time the Earth will heal itself and start over.
A China Doll 4812 wrote,
WW1 was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Since then, WW2, Korean War, Vietnam War, Afghanistan. The list goes on. The wars in the Middle East. There is no ending. Now Iran-Israel war. Almost forgot. Ukraine-Russian war.
At Bibasaplode 27 wrote,
Dunia hankar akibat yula manusia ita sendiri, terutama ola pemimpin dunia yang tidak memikirkan kemanusiaan dan kelangsungan hidup demi bumi yang indah. Peace between countries will be better for the life of humanity on Earth. Readings of peace.
At March Madness 3762 wrote,
There is a clear winner, my boy, the Most High, and his Son, and they chosen people them, so-called African Americans and Latinos, the 12 tribes of Israel, will finally get their kingdom, which shall be forever I love, when a plan comes together. All praises, Yoam Bahasham Yehowashi.
At Michael Schwachway 1965 wrote,
Hurrah, danist is endlich vorbei ihr werdet nichts merken, also habt keine Angst. Danach gibt es nur noch still. Die Welt ist dem der Mensch besser dran.
At Stanley Choi J9S wrote,
I often wonder why no other species from the vast universe visit us. Because they probably knew one day we human beings will destroy ourselves. No point in contact with a stupid species.
At Azucena Padilla JY for Sue wrote,
Yakwai is real peligro capturing a Trump of Moscow Papa incluso o Putin, why alien lasky poblacion, why de la naturaliza. Debimos tener opciones de vivir, why no verdugos que no dejan vivir.
At Tony Dixon 635 wrote,
CGI missiles, CGI explosions, and CGI cartoons of a supposed globe Earth. Nuclear weapons do not exist and never have existed. Regarding the Earth, bodies of water, i.e., ponds, lakes, oceans, cannot hold permanent convexity across their surface. Bodies of water cannot conform to the exterior of shapes. When there is the very slightest of inclinations to the surface of a body of water, it will always flow and find its level in a horizontal straight line from the starting point to the end point regardless of distance. Supposed curvature has never been measured. The Earth is demonstrably level.
That the franchise wrote,
How about they settle their beef on Call of Duty or don't even have war at all because we the people across the globe do not have a problem with nobody, only the ones with shirts and ties on.
At Petrosia Lassic 6088 wrote,
PSD problem ENL Union Euro. Unless CFE. Qual foliet jaidu enfants et devant chez moi via unicole, G lesbois passer et G pence. Pauvres enfants.
At Eva YQ7VZ wrote,
My fellow brothers and sisters, it's horrible, I know, even me, I am afraid. BUTLETUS pray A and D connect TOOURGOD. Now let's prepare our soul. Let the love be the last thing we can share in this earth.
At Death_lag wrote,
So many people are going back in time to kill Albert Einstein to prevent the invention of that nuke, but honestly, it was always inevitable. The dinosaurs got wiped out by a space rock, and humans wiped themselves out with atom bombs. It's just a cycle. Earth builds life and it wipes out. How doesn't matter as such. After humanity is exciting. Maybe 1,000 years passes, maybe even 1 million years pass, who knows, but life on Earth always exists at some point and goes extinct at some point.
At Netazenri wrote,
Hopefully, the nuclear war will be ended soon. There is no difference between economic hardship and suffering due to nuclear war for us. The suffering must be felt by all the world's population.
At Matthews Rumalata wrote,
Perang nuklear tidak akan terjadi sekarang ini tidak satu negara di Timur Tengah ketika jadi korban perang. Dapat memacu perang nuklear lain halnya kalau satu negara di Timur Tengah memiliki nuklear barulah perang nuklear itu terjadi.
At Scott Mitchell 3641 wrote,
The end of Putin. If nuclear war breaks out, you're a dead man, Putin. There will be no place deep enough for you to go. As the rest of the world dies, so will you, Putin. Violently.
At Tom DeCuca 3627 wrote,
There are military people who believe that a limited tactical exchange can be fought. It really can't. They have the use them or lose them policy because of an EMP or a first strike taking out their silos. They won't take the chance of not being able to get their missiles off the ground. In the time it takes to make your dinner, it would be over. If they see a rocket plume, the president has 15 minutes to respond.
At Lou J's 5 wrote,
In the Bible, it speaks of the rumors of war is one of the signs before Jesus returns. Just keep your faith in our Lord and everything will go as it's meant. It's out of our control. We're just spectators. We can't not control it. Just live your life to the fullest. It in the way God wants and everything will be fine. Whatever happens, happens. You can't stop it. So accept and do what you can.
At Pristine Graphic wrote,
The only leader with big balls like Hitler is Kim Jong-un, the only country no one wants to F with so all. These little conflicts between these other countries is just that it won't go any further. No balls, back to work.
At Didymos 1 wrote,
The list at the beginning, which country could provoke a nuclear exchange of blows, calls China, Russia and North Korea. But the current endangers of world peace and initiators of a possible WW3 are missing in the list. Perhaps because the video is already 3 weeks old, perhaps because YouTube's Department of Truth is otherwise crazy, or for another reason. The United States and Israel, with its unprovoked, unjustified war of aggression against Iran, once again, are the real endangers of mankind.
At Evil Fingers No One wrote,
One thing the video doesn't mention, at the initial blast of a nuke, an electromagnetic pulse is emitted and has a range of 250 plus miles. And what is an EMP and what does it do? An EMP is a burst of electromagnetic radiation that can damage or disrupt electronic equipment, which is the same effect as a blackout, which can last for hours. Also, there is another form of electromagnetic pulse, and it's delivered by the sun, and when a solar flare hits the Earth, everything electronic goes dead. The lasting effect varies. The last solar flare happened in May 2025, which triggered radio blackouts and a geomagnetic storm in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East.
At Omar Acevedo 4784 wrote,
I think that we're at a point in time where people are tired of struggling to survive in an overcrowded world, where a small group of people control 90% of the planet's wealth, while the rest of us can't even afford to dream anymore. Many are looking forward to see the world burn.
Benny McGee wrote,
Civil War ended in 1865. 80 years later, World War II ended in 1945. 80 years after that, the entire world could end in 2025. And I don't pay any mind to astrology, but this past week Venus has been shining brightly in the eastern sky before sunrise every morning like it's waiting for a show. We is doomed, fellow futtamuckas. Not we are doomed. We is doomed.
At Michael Plank 8966 wrote,
It would never happen. Nothing would survive. It would be pointless. Be nice to everybody. Putin is broke without. Germany, Czech has done look after England, all stupid people that would tell you could survive are cracksy. How about the animals? Do they have a say?
At Westblood 3620 wrote,
World War III going to start by American arrogance. USA empire has fallen, yet most Americans think they are still number one, when they are 50 years behind Asian countries in technology. Did you see that pathetic robot dog in Trump's birthday parade? Now go check out Chinese military robots. Like night and day. Yup, USA is actually number 55, not number 1. Heck, American students can't even tell you how many dimes in $2.00.
At Adrian Chin 2970 wrote,
all countries having nuclear weapon and firing one another, and in the end, all these countries with these weapons vanished. And who win in the end? No one win? What's the reason of fighting this war that end humankind from this earth? Stupid, stupid, stupid.
At Christmas Dyro 5369 wrote,
head to the Gulf of Mexico and keep heading southern route, as far south as possible via boat. I have a plan. Just NK boat. I can gather Fia as well. Anyone have a boat in case? Can I be your shipmate?
At Dennis Perkins 4784 wrote,
they can build their bunkers, God warned. They will no rock on top of another, when earth will crumble. Read your Bibles, repent, help each other, Godspeed to us all.
At Rex Jansen 7717 wrote,
this all sounded horrible then. They said major governments were destroyed. All I could think of is, there's a silver lining to Evan to this. Better, we removed these assholes before they push us off the cliff.
At Who Cares 6965 wrote,
yeah, ain't no side gonna win. I'm sure it'll make sense for the biblical prophecies. It's said that the world will be destroyed by fire and there will be a new heaven and earth. So it makes me think the true believers will be placed on the new grounds, and all the unsaved will, well, guess they all burn. And don't blame the messenger, it's just what I've read from the oldest book written.
At Oyaga Charles 7873 wrote,
so mankind have decided to make his own destruction. What became of mankind? Invest in trillions in deadly weapons, while others are dying in hunger. And the same weapons are to destroy everyone eventually. So what's the profit?
At Sandalo Bianco 6734 wrote,
rest assured, knowing the doomsday clock of annihilation is right on time. You can be confident as well that your rent or mortgage payments will still arrive on time in the mail.
At Thomas Taylor 6699 wrote,
this is why there are no winners in a nuclear war. The sheer stupidity of MAD should be enough of a deterrent. Let's hope and pray that there will never be such a war as a nuclear war.
At Under the Tornado wrote,
what is this insane obsession with our world ending? I must have missed Narnia and hit some weird black hole in my shower 2 years ago. This is not MY reality.
At Homagoose 6897 wrote,
grew up during the Cold War. My entire childhood was during the 1960s. Was 4 years old during the Cuban Missile Crisis. I assumed the nuke dangers were gone after the Soviet Union collapsed. Learned the only solution to nuclear war is to bend over and kiss your butt goodbye.
A W1 player wrote,
the question is whether we really are the crown of creation, or whether we only think we are, and in reality, there are much higher beings working above us, who only allowed Hiroshima and Nagasaki to happen so that humanity would know what terrible weapons nuclear weapons are. But if we really are the crown of creation, and the planet ends up in a nuclear disaster, then I would like it to be short. I have no interest in vegetating in some bunker like in the series Silo.
At Smith0426 wrote,
All BS fear propaganda. One nuclear disaster by USA in human history since nuke's birth. Give me a damn break. Not gonna happen, at least not this century.
At Migatopraxides wrote,
Who is watching during the war between Israel and Iran and Russia and Ukraine while the USA riots? If you're an underage boy, go visit your local Catholic priest. You'll feel better about all this, I promise.
At Jonquertinment9215 wrote,
Now just imagine if we would have taken all the time and money that we have used to destroy ourselves and put it to the betterment of this earth to end hunger, to end homelessness. The human animal really is the dumbest animal on earth.
At Ryosuke324 wrote,
Actually, I came to the conclusion that humans now are so feed up with each other and so regulated by laws to the point that we find a mental escape in freedom of certain scenarios would have be.
At Stagel Dempnaboy wrote,
I haven't met a single person who has said that using NUKES would be a good idea. That's just not a thing you think about. What a terrible thing to think towards someone. I'm so sorry, Japan, for what the USA did to you.
At Vensoko wrote,
Non ho pora di moriri ho pora di soffriri o agionizziari per or. E mi preoccupa la salute mentale dei miei parenti avero spesso dopo la morte di un fratello, restano bruciati dul serio e finiscono sotto un pont.
At Umbilicalashed wrote,
This video was made 3 weeks ago, and escalations between Israel and Iran happened. Russia and Ukraine are still going at it. The United States of America is rioting. The 1% are taking all they can. Things do look bleak right now.
Jagi wrote,
Seriously, what's the point? A nuclear war, there are no winners, only losers. It infuriates me beyond belief that we even have these weapons. Because if we use them, we destroy the entire planet, not just the enemy. So I repeat, what's the point?
At Megavishap wrote,
We already ruined this beautiful planet with human infestation and urbanization. Now we hate each other for stupid reasons and run a nuclear war. We are stupid animals and we don't deserve our planet.
At Mishole Piashvili wrote,
I can't imagine how anyone can do such evilness. Or why any billionaire thinks that their money can save them from this catastrophe. At least radiation levels will kill the whole planet.
At Mishole Piashvili wrote,
I can't imagine how anyone can do such evilness. Or why any billionaire thinks that their money can save them from this catastrophe. At least radiation levels will kill the whole planet.
At Israel Moteo 8488 wrote,
Sad to say that this scenario or something close to it will certainly play out someday. However, all will not be destroyed. Some people will surely survive it.
At Randall Spady wrote,
Christ warned about that day judgment on the earth sorrows, and no flesh shall be saved, but he comes back to save mankind from total destruction. He will send his kingdom on earth.
At Morsh 1978 wrote,
030 USA and the EU have no diplomacy whatsoever, only mentally handicapped loudmouth clownish bullies. Moreover, tail wags the dog. To save face, US would be dragged into the WW3 by Israel, and the EU by barking dogs like Baltic statelets. Are we truly ready to die for dog-off pills? Sort of scenario. USA speaks loudly and carries a big stick. The EU shrieks hysterically and carries a small twig. Both are led by mentally deficient mad psychopaths with only residual understanding of cause and effect logic.
At Jagan Muthukrishnan 7291 wrote,
Cleverly, you explained us what happens after nuclear launch. Now tell us what happens economy of all countries after fight of both USA and Russia by exemption of other countries.
At Pato 5575 wrote,
Les crypto-monnaies dansent à ça? La panacée a crise de toutes sortes se volatilise avec la perte d'Internet et de l'électricité. Les cryptos ne sont pas la bonne solution. Pas plus que vos liasses de billets de banque qui ne vaudront plus rien avec la disparition des États. Sous l'or en petites pièces type 24 Napoléon. Facilement exchangeables, resteront utilisables pour les rares survivants et chaque pièce vaudra très cher.
At Germany, Kit 77 wrote,
Human did not learn from last 1,000,000 years, or better, they don't understand even the best. And mostly expensive bunker is only wasted money, and currently politics are only dummy politics. When people will realize they should stop before it's too late, this counting nukes is a joke. Means to say people do not understand Hiroshima and Nagasaki 50 kilograms nukes. That is if you like to compare a firecracker with a bombie. Albert Einstein said 3 Nagasaki nukes same time hitting Earth. Earth is completely gone, but are these politicians who are too much carbon? They're all forgetting there's no bank account in heaven. The killer of Earth is grittiness, and mostly unqualified politics in most countries. Get Parliament provoking out decorate like before trees.
Isolde 3 R in Christ wrote,
Revelation 18:10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city. For in 1 hour is thy judgment come.
At Blinkspa Studio 8892 wrote,
Even one of these modern weapons landing would cause mayhem on our air supply. Why are these even allowed on the damn planet? It's the stupidest idea I have ever heard of. It will kill everything.
At 3 Brains 1173 wrote,
USA and Israel have already become inhumane for what they did in Gaza. While Russians still having patience to not use nukes so far despite of Ukraine attacking their assets, provoking them with all of their capability.
At X95 Galil Blessed Be God Firearms wrote,
Shalom. A great war will erupt suddenly. There is only one recourse for mankind now to avoid a third world war, that is more prayer, more penance, and more sacrifice for sinners.
At NOWTHATSWHATICLLANGST wrote,
8:55 There might be no winners, but only the survivors will live with regret, and those billionaires don't deserve any sympathy, and they definitely won't get any sympathy from the 1 to 2 billion casualties.
Price Lomont wrote,
It's funny how the government's got trillions for war, but they can't help people and wipe out poverty, yup. That says a lot. Obviously, you will never seen and never will see a black man cause wars. It's always have been white people.
At Daniela Saliek 3664 wrote,
Yesterday night, I was thinking about the humanity, and frankly, we are younger than dinosaurs. We are the lonely humanes in the universe, and the planet is dying day after day. So here is my conclusion. We've got only a few years to live.
At Michael Casey 1968 wrote,
I just hope I'm not on the outskirts of one and catch all that radiation poison and have to live the next few days in pure agony. I never thought I'd say this in my life, but I'd rather be incinerated. Hopefully, it will never happen. I've spent most of my life with this threat.
At Penelope Para VQ7 by wrote,
AYYY no creo que haya una tercera guerra mundial nuclear. Siempre el mismo tema y nunca ocurre nada, solo pequeñas guerras para anexionarse un país. Pero justo hoy, o guerras contra la tyrannia, la dictadura, los cartels y Pero una tercera guerra mundial nuclear ensayo creo que no es verdad. Es what los políticos son por demagogia, y justa en eso son demagogos. Prometen y no cumplen ni siquiera en este asunto. Así que no se hagan falsas esperanzas los que esperan una gran guerra nuclear como solución a los problemas del mundo. Lamento tener los pies sobre la tierra y no vivir de anhelos. Así que no se hagan falsas esperanzas.
At Victory_Bright wrote,
WW3 is inevitable. There is no doubt about that. The real question is when. It could be this year, or it could be in 200 years, who knows, but it's almost certain it will happen some point in human history.
At G91M wrote,
And this is why we shouldn't let the rich and governments rule power over us. Get rid of politics, and we wouldn't have this shite on our hands.
At Zookstefan2497 wrote,
Taiwan is a province of China, so China would not blockade their own territory. Plus US has first strike doctrine, not North Korea, and Russia has zero need of Baltics, so let's have a real scenario and not absurd. US has first strike doctrine. Not China, North Korea, Russia, etc.
At Zachary J 2001 wrote,
I heard that in I think the 80s a Russian nuclear submarine lost communication, so they believed Russia had been attacked. 2/3 pressed the button to launch their submarine nuke, but one didn't want to.
At Plant Guy 86 wrote,
We all live on this small ball of rock in a universe where we haven't detected other life. But let's just point nukes at each other and treat everyone as enemies. What a wonderful species we are.
Tomzart wrote,
Nuclear missiles OF death 2025. I stare at the dust as it tries not to fall, swirling in the sun streams from the windows on the wall. Down in the valley ring lonely church bells sounding their message as the devil's brood swells. The missiles are coming, though I can't tell you when. As they drop down upon us, our lifestyles shall end. You can hide underground or fly far away, their lingering fallout will find you someday. No more small children shall toddle off to schools because of mistakes of grown-up mad fools. Believing in spacemen and the ships, which they fly, you can bet as it happens, they'll watch it and cry. The generals are playing a death game of dare with missiles in the silos and bombs in the air. There'll be time for anger. There'll be time for greed, but the time shall be lost for planting the seed. By Tomzart.
At Chris Plummer 336 wrote,
Even if you survive the bombs, why would you even want to live afterwards? I honestly don't see the point of keeping these weapons because once you use them, you lose. So what's the point? Better of just getting rid of all of them unless they are of some use in space for deflecting asteroids.
At Daryl Holcomb 9076 wrote,
Inevitable and sooner than later. Bible prophesy says in the end times a fourth of mankind is suddenly killed off. An uneasy truce is agreed to. Such will form a commission for global rule of what's left. Nation states no longer exist. One global panel rules. In less than 7 years, Christ returns and ends human rule forever.
At Bob Finkenbeiner 2539 wrote,
Flawed logic. The cost of sustaining and maintaining a nuclear arsenal is immense. Russia is broke, and their military is corrupt. They might have a fraction of that arsenal functional. They have overstated their capability in the past, and the intelligence community suck up those lies because they lack the ability to think critically. The war is over before it's stated. The fearmongers promote this crap for profit.
At Matheringland 9054 wrote,
The only way to survive nuclear war is to not start it. What's the point of having all the money in the world if you'll spend the rest of your life in a bunker? The survivors would envy the dead.
Aslika 83 wrote,
It's called a dead man's hand. All of Russia could fall. If their systems don't get a response or the ground shakes badly enough, whether Putin is dead or not, the dead hand fires all its ICBMs at its programmed targets.
At David Boyd 506 wrote,
It would be very interesting to see how a nuclear war would start, but there's never going to be one. It's basically a scar tactic. We are way behind nuclear war. Cyber attacks are more scary. That's the new thing.
At Ogdekvado wrote,
The USA began a nuclear and conventional military buildup under the Biden administration after Putin suspended the New START treaty and started making continuous nuclear threats in 2022. Freeze Trump is now accelerating that buildup. The main lesson learned during the Cold War was that only overwhelming American military strength can prevent thermonuclear war.
At MJ6258 wrote,
There are zero winners in large-scale nuclear exchange. Everyone/thing loses. The entire planet would be fucked. And looking at global conflicts as of right now, I'd venture a guess we may be closer to nuclear war than ever before.
At Bonaventuremula 9859 wrote,
There is no need to worry a lot about this. The US has the B-2 Spirit bomber plus advanced bunker buster bombs that penetrate deep underground. One nation, Yemen, tried to threaten the US. All or most of their underground bunkers got destroyed.
At Robert Finley 921 wrote,
Trump, Musk, and the oligarchs would fly to a safe place. Fox News and the Republicans would viscerally blame the left, or BLM, or woke. U.S. corporations would salivate, looking for opportunities for profit. Christians would study the skies, Bible in hand, looking for Jesus' return. The UN would try to stop it. The left would lament the environmental impact.
At John Calvin Hall wrote,
Fear-mongering at its finest. You provide an absolute worst-case scenario without any probable outcome. I remember people like you back in the 60s and 70s. It never happened. Don't get me wrong, nuclear exchange will happen, but it won't be started by established nations, let alone the United States. The first nukes will be detonated by death cult powers like Iran or Pakistan.